Well, guys, we are less than a month away from the start of the 2023 FIFA Women's World Cup. And with that being said, it is time to give our final group stage predictions. Guys, Matty G back here with you on Football with Flags. Thanks so much for joining us as always. And thank you to those of you who have subscribed to the channel here recently. We appreciate your support. And if you're new to the channel, we hope that you'll consider subscribing as well, as we've got plenty more international football content coming your way in the future. But with that being said, guys, let's get right to these predictions. Straight into Group A we go, guys. Again, we're going to give you a little background information on each of these teams for every group, and then to the next slide, give our predictions. So again, New Zealand coming in as the co-host, ranked 26th in the world. This is their 6th World Cup appearance. They've actually never made it out of the group stage, which is very interesting, but I definitely feel like these ladies feel confident they've got a great shot at doing so this time around. As for Norway, this is their 9th World Cup appearance. Remember, they were the 1995 World Cup champions. They did make it all the way to the quarterfinals in 2019 before losing out to England, but I definitely feel like Norway thinks they have a legitimate shot to get to that point and maybe beyond this time round. As for Switzerland, this is just their 2nd ever World Cup appearance. Their first was in 2015, currently ranked 20th in the world. They did struggle in the group stage at Euros last summer, but again, I think Switzerland feel just as confident as New Zealand for that 2nd spot to potentially get out of the group stage this time. As for the Philippines, this is their 1st ever World Cup appearance, currently coming in at 46th in the world. And again, you can take this how you want it, but they did lose to New Zealand just 2-1 in a friendly last year. Not a bad result at all. Of course, again, rosters may have looked a little bit different that time compared to what we'll see here in a month or so. But again, not a bad result for the Philippines. Obviously, this is going to be a difficult group for them coming in as debutantes, but we will see how they handle these 3 teams. As for Group A predictions, guys, felt it was pretty straight away with Norway taking this group comfortably with all 3 wins and 9 points. As for that 2nd place spot, it was difficult to decide. We've actually got New Zealand and Switzerland tying in the group stage, but New Zealand just edging out the European side based off of goal differential. And as for the Philippines, obviously going to be very difficult. Certainly these women are going to be happy to be in this competition and they're going to perform as best they can, but I think it's going to be tough for them to try and get points out of it. With that being said, we've got Norway and New Zealand advancing out of Group A. Arguably the most difficult group of them all, guys, with Australia, Ireland, Nigeria, and Canada. Guys, Australia, the other co-hosts, come in. This is their 8th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 10th in the world, and they are a potential dark horse for sure. They finished in the quarterfinals in 2007, 2011, and 2015. Obviously, they'll be hoping to get back to that mark this time around, but potentially even farther. Again, playing on their own soil. Again, this is a very talented and technical group with Sam Kerr leading the way. We'll see what Ireland's got, but it's going to be very difficult for these teams to get past them, especially considering that they'll be playing in front of their home fans in almost every single game. As for Ireland, this is their 1st ever World Cup appearance. From what I know, too, I think this is their 1st ever major appearance. Now, I don't think they've ever appeared in the Euros either. So they are in uncharted territory for sure, but this is a gritty bunch, a team that's going to be very difficult to play against and score on. They did beat Scotland in a playoff to get to this point. We'll see how they go, but again, still, I think they're going to be happy to be here, but excited to compete with the opportunity of possibly trying to make it out of the group as well. As for Nigeria, this is their 9th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 40th in the world. They did get to the quarterfinals in 1999. And this team has had some decent results as of late. They did beat New Zealand 3-0 recently, but they've also played some very decent competition as well, even though they've had some close losses as of late also. And as for Canada, the 2020 Olympic champions, this is their 8th World Cup appearance. They did finish in 4th in 2003. This group did beat Australia twice in friendlies recently, as well as lost to France 2-1 in April, but a very tough, tight game for both of those teams. But Canada certainly feel like that they can win this group and make a deep run themselves. And this is going to be a very difficult group to predict, but also just to see who wins the group and makes it out on top. As for our Group B predictions, guys, it was really difficult to call, but we've got Canada just edging Australia on goal differential. We've got the 2 sides drawing in the group stage with Canada taking the edge. And then, of course, as you can see, despite Nigeria's experience in the World Cup, we do have Ireland actually getting 3 points off the Nigerians in the group stage. Again, I think that game could go either way. I just like the idea that Ireland have a good shot of potentially getting 3 points out of this. It almost kind of be devastating to see these 2 teams just draw, considering that at least if one of them wins, they've got a shot to potentially get closer to Canada or Australia. But again, if for Ireland and Nigeria, they actually have to play both of these teams in their first two group stage games before they play each other in the final round. So they've got to try and get points out of those first two games if they want any shot at getting through. But for us, we've got Canada and Australia making it to the round of 16. As for Group C, guys, we've got Spain, Costa Rica, Zambia, and Japan, and we'll get it started off with Spain, currently ranked 6th in the world. This is their 3rd World Cup appearance, and this team has huge upside. Don't forget that they have lost to the United States back in 2019 in the round of 16, and then, of course, England in the knockouts of the Euros last summer. So they've actually lost to the two defending champions of those two major competitions the last two times out. So certainly with revenge on their mind, maybe against one of those two, or at least facing some other competition with a shot to get farther into the knockout stage of this time of this edition. As for Costa Rica, currently ranked 36th in the world, this is just their 2nd ever appearance. Their first was in 2015. The thing that really worries me though about Costa Rica is they actually haven't won a game since last October. So obviously they'll be excited to get back, but hopefully their confidence won't be lacking just for the fact that they haven't seen a lot of results as of late. As for Zambia, this is their 1st ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 77th. I believe that's the highest of any team in the competition. This team obviously only plays mainly African opponents, which I think might affect them in terms of just how they do in this group. I think they need to try and branch out, play more opposition against other continents if they get the opportunity to. Again, nothing against other African opposition, but it's the same that we go about pretty much anywhere else other than Europe, that teams need to try and play opponents outside of their own region just to get more experience and play other teams with different types of talent. So we'll see how Zambia fares up against this group. As for Japan, currently ranked 11th in the world. Remember, they are the 2011 world champions. Went back to the final in 2015, but lost out to the United States. This is their 9th ever World Cup appearance. Again, this team still, though, is very technical, very good, very solid in possession, and they're very patient as well. So we'll see how Japan stacks up against these three teams also. For our Group C results, we've got Spain, Japan, Costa Rica, and Zambia. It was a very difficult decision to see who would win this group, but for us, we've got Spain just edging Japan off of goal differential. I think that they'll be hungry to get goals, and they're going to do so against Costa Rica and Zambia as much as possible. Again, we talk about how good Japan is in possession, and that's fantastic, but I just feel like Spain are going to be a bit hungrier and a bit more physical when it comes to 50-50s and set pieces and stuff, that they might be able to edge out Japan on that statistic to get them as the group leaders. I think that Japan and Spain will tie their game, but again, I think it's going to come down to goal differential with Spain taking the edge. We've got Costa Rica beating Zambia for their 3 points. Certainly a confidence booster for them going out of this tournament, but obviously not enough just getting that one result. As for Zambia, unfortunately just not going to be able to get anything done against these three teams. It's exciting that they're finally in the competitions. It's great exposure for their country and these women. Great opportunity for them to represent as well. But unfortunately, this is a very difficult group too, and I think it's going to be tough for them to try and get points out of any of these three games. On to Group D we go, guys, with England, Haiti, Denmark, and China PR. Guys, the 2022 European champions, England, come in currently ranked 4th in the world. This is their 6th appearance. Remember, they did finish 3rd in 2015. But the one thing that needs to be asked about England is, despite how much talent they have, will the injuries that they've already been affected by potentially damage how far they go in this competition? I think that's the biggest question to ask for this group. As for Haiti, this is their 1st ever World Cup appearance. They're currently ranked 53rd on this list. This team did beat Senegal and Chile in a playoff to get to this point. An interesting note for Haiti, they still have 3 or 4 more warm-up games before they get to the finals here in less than a month. So hopefully they won't be faced with any injuries, but they've got a shot to play some more games, connect a little bit more with this team, and build some more cohesion. As for Denmark, this is their 5th World Cup appearance. They did make the quarterfinals back in 1991 and 95, but this is the first time they've been back since 2007. Obviously, a lot of people have England pegged as the winners of this group, but Denmark certainly feeling like they've got a shot to get out of the group as that 2nd place team. But for China PR, currently ranked 14th in the world, just behind them. They were the runners-up in 1999. This is their 8th World Cup appearance. And a very interesting note to point out with this team is China PR, every time they have made this competition, they have gotten to the knockout stage. That is a streak that obviously they do not want to come to an end this time around. But Denmark, with maybe the best shot to play spoiler in that regard. As for our Group D predictions, we've got England running away with this group with 9 points, 3 victories against all these teams. We've got China edging out Denmark off goal differential. Again, China, a very technically sound team that is very difficult to break down, as well as just take the ball off of. I think China will serve that well for themselves. Denmark going to be a little bit more physical. They probably have a little bit more height, but I do feel like China are going to get the better of the European side and the Danish to get that second place spot and continue their streak of making every single knockout up to this point. As for Haiti, just too much to serve up against these 3 teams. I think that they're going to hopefully at least battle and maybe score some goals, but unfortunately for them, no points out of this group. On to Group E, guys, with the United States, Vietnam, Netherlands, and Portugal. Guys, this group is very raw in terms of just the total number of combined appearances between these 4 teams. Obviously, the U.S. leading the way with 9 appearances, currently ranked first in the world, looking for a three-peat. Again, similar to England, the question is, some of the injuries that they have faced, will they impact how well they do in this competition, along with the number of new faces that are on the roster for this team? I think that those 2 questions are the ones that will be asked the most in terms of how the U.S. end up in this edition. As for Vietnam, this is their first ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 32nd. The thing about Vietnam is when they win big, but when they lose big as well. It's a lot of it's a huge scale in terms of just the results and the sheer number of goals. In terms of if they do well, they beat teams by a lot of goals, but if they get beaten, it is by a large margin. So have to keep that in mind for Vietnam in terms of their goal differential if they want any shot at trying to get out of the group. As for Netherlands, this is just their 3rd World Cup appearance. Remember, they're ranked 9th in the world, lost to the U.S. in the 2019 final. Question is, can they get revenge, not only in the group stage, but maybe down the line in this competition as well if they wind up meeting them again in the final? Don't forget, too, that the Netherlands won the 2017 European Championship as well. So this team, with kind of a short history in terms of their success, they're still a very solid group with a great shot at potentially trying to win this group and get out and make another run all the way to the finals. As for Portugal, another playoff winner. This is their first ever World Cup appearance, even though they are ranked 21st on this list. They've never played in the knockout stages of a major tournament either. So again, for Portugal, obviously trying to get over the United States and Netherlands is going to be difficult, but they still, I'm sure, feel confident that they've got a shot to do so if they can at least take down one of those 2 or pick up a draw against one of these 2 teams and then maybe look to beat them based off of goal differential. Another difficult group to predict, but we've got the U.S. edging out Netherlands on goal differential as well. I know it seems like it's a common theme so far in this video, but again, it just feels like that there's at least 2 teams in every group that is going to come down to something like that. I definitely think we're going to see a lot of goals in this competition, but it's going to be interesting to see whether or not that those results tilt one way or the other, or we end up with a lot of draws in the group stage. We shall see. But we do have the U.S. edging out the Netherlands for the top spot, each going through on 7 points, and then Portugal taking 3 points off of Vietnam. But unfortunately, that is it for them. Group F, featuring France, Jamaica, Brazil, and Panama. Guys, we'll get it started with France. This is their 5th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 5th in the world. Remember, they are our most recent hosts back in 2019. They did finish 4th in 2011, but obviously still probably have a bitter taste in their mouth after losing to the U.S. in the quarterfinals in 2019 on their own soil. However, they do have a new manager in Hervé Renard, who was just recently the manager of the Saudi Arabian men's team. And with the addition, once again, with Wendy Renard and Sommer coming back, how far can this French team go? I think that's a big question. Do they have a shot at getting to a semifinal or maybe a final? We shall see. As for Jamaica, just their 2nd ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 43rd. They lost all 3 of their games back in 2019 in the group stage. They did finish 3rd in the Women's CONCACAF Championship in the most recent edition, but we'll see how the Reggae girls fare against everyone else in this group. As for Brazil, their 9th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 8th. They finished 2nd in 2007, but they've been a bit disappointing in recent years. Marta is set to make her 6th World Cup appearance. Just let that sink in. We'll see how she does, or if she even pulls a lot of minutes for this side. But again, Brazil, at least with a shot to hopefully make it out of the group and a decent run to the quarterfinals or semis. We'll see how far they can go. As for Panama, this is their 1st ever World Cup Finals appearance. They also qualified through a playoff. And I know that these girls are certainly excited to be here. But it is interesting that Jamaica and Panama, considering they come from the same confederation, are in the same group. We see that rule in play in terms of the men's side, where unless it's two European nations, whether it's the CONMEBOL, CONCACAF, etc., what have you, we don't see two teams from the same confederation get put into the same group for the group stage. So the fact that these two are in the same group is a bit odd, but again, not up to me. So we'll see how these two CONCACAF teams fare up against France and Brazil. Maybe one of the easier groups to predict so far. We've got France leading the way with 9 points, Brazil coming in second with 6, losing to the French side to decide that group, and then Jamaica taking 3 points off Panama. Again, it's going to be difficult for Panama, I think, to score any points against these three teams. Jamaica have been here before. They're a solid side, but they are certainly going to have their difficulties against France and Brazil as well for a shot to even try and get to the knockout stages. So again, France and Brazil heading to the round of 16 from Group F. The next to last group is Group G with Sweden, South Africa, Italy, and Argentina. And we'll get it started off with the Swedish right away. Their 9th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 3rd. They've finished 3rd 3 separate times in these World Cup finals. Maybe considered the best team to never win it. Definitely feel like that they've got a great shot at doing that this time around. Remember, they did finish 2nd to Canada back in the 2020 Olympics. But again, still not the same. Sweden feel like that this is a huge moment for them to potentially go all the way and win this competition for the first time ever. As for South Africa, currently ranked 54th. They lost all 3 of their games back in 2019, and they've had a wide range of players in terms of their recent call-ups and current roster, all the way from 19 to 37. So we'll see if that is the same in terms of this roster moving forward in the finals later this month. As for Italy, currently ranked 16th in the world. They did get to the quarterfinals in 2019. Before that, they hadn't been in the competition since 1999. The question is, though, can they get back to that point? This is a wide open group, in my opinion, besides Sweden, obviously being the heavy favorites. But can Italy get to that point and then obviously get by other opposition to maybe get back to another quarterfinal and beyond? As for Argentina, just their 4th ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 28th. This team historically has been known to give up a lot of goals in the group stage. We saw them give up 15 and 18 in the 2003 and 2007 editions. But they did only give up 4 goals in the 2019 campaign. So we'll see if they can keep that kind of momentum going, if they can defend well, and then look to get their goals when possible and get some points on the board so that way they can even have a shot potentially getting out of this group as the 2nd place team. As for our Group G predictions, guys, another pretty straightaway group with Sweden leading the way with 3 wins, 9 points, and the Italians getting through with them as well with 6 points, defeating Argentina in a pivotal matchup to get the extra 3 points to get through the group stage. Argentina finishing 3rd, and then South Africa at the bottom. Guys, I still feel like South Africa has a shot to get some points maybe off Italy or Argentina. I think it's going to be difficult to do so, but do still feel pretty confident that it's going to come down to Italy and Argentina for that 2nd place spot. But for right now, we do have Sweden and Italy getting through to the round of 16. Down to our last group, that is Group H, with Germany, Morocco, Colombia, and Korea Republic. We'll get started off with the Germans, their 9th World Cup appearance, currently ranked 2nd in the world rankings. Remember, they did lose to England back last summer in the European Championship final. However, they are the only other team besides the United States to win back-to-back World Cup titles. They did so in 2003 and in 2007. This team's going to be very physical, very tough to beat, especially on 50-50s, but they're very technical and talented as well. A very good team and certainly pegged to win this group also. As for Morocco, their 1st ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 72nd. They were the runners-up in the AFCON Championship last summer. The interesting point, though, for Morocco is based off of their current roster and recent call-ups, they don't have a lot of players with many caps. They have not seen a lot of appearances, so it's very interesting to see how these girls will fare coming into this competition. One of their 1st ever majors, with really not a lot of experience under their belt just for the national team, much less World Cup experience. As for Colombia, this is their 3rd ever World Cup appearance, currently ranked 25th. They did make it to the round of 16 back in 2015, and were also runners-up in the Copa America last summer. They have a decent shot to make it to the knockout stage, but I definitely feel like that their fixture against Korea is going to be a huge key factor in whether they are able to or not. This team is fast. They like to counterattack, score goals, use their width. We'll see what they're able to do. As for Korea Republic, this is their 4th World Cup appearance. Currently ranked 17th. They also made it to the round of 16 in 2015 as well. However, the thing is about Korea is they've only ever won a single World Cup game before. Again, they still got out of the group. Again, you can certainly do so with, potentially a 1-1-1 result, or in terms of your schedule through the group stage. But we'll see if Korea can still do the same this time around, or does Colombia have a really good shot at potentially beating them out for that 2nd place spot. For our predictions, we did have Colombia getting through with Germany. Germany sweeping the list, getting through comfortably. Colombia, however, though, edging Korea Republic in their fixture to get to this point with 6 points. Korea getting their 2nd ever World Cup victory. Then, unfortunately, for Morocco down at the bottom, going to be very difficult for them to get by any of these 3 teams. Hopefully, they can maybe salvage a draw or at least a result against one of these 3, but again, going to be very difficult. So for us, we've got Germany and Colombia through to the knockouts. Well, guys, if you have made it to this point in the video, thank you so much for watching. We certainly appreciate your support. Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't already done so. Guys, we will have our knockout stage predictions coming shortly for this competition as well. And please let us know down in the comments your own predictions also. We'd love to hear your feedback, your own input on what you think is going to happen in this competition, who you like, who you're supporting, whatever you feel like you'd like to respond to us with. Please do so down in the comments. Guys, again, thank you so much, as always, for joining us. And until next time, we'll see you soon. Peace out.